Something useful when building logos or icons or manipulating shapes in general are the pathfinder tools in Illustrator. So let's take a look at those. Essentially what I have here is a clean document. I have my grid turned on and my snap to grid turned on just because I'm going to be using rectangles for this demo. Over to the left up here, you'll see that was my practice to see what we're going to work on. So we're going to start with a single rectangle here on the artboard. Doesn't necessarily matter that yours is exactly the same as mine. We are just going to be working with shapes and tearing them apart and combining them. So I've got my rectangle here. I like that a little better. I'm going to fill it with a very dark gray. And what I'm going to do is Alt drag a copy, and I'm going to stagger these kind of like laying out playing cards. I'm going to change the color. I'm just going to go down the grayscale a few values just so we can see the difference. And then I'm going to drag one more copy, and again I'm just visually evenly spacing these. I'm going to change the color to a little lighter gray so we can see that. Let me put these in the center of the artboard for you. I'm going to click off. So starting with these, and they overlap in a certain way. If you open up the layers palette and then open the drop down for this layer, you can see that on top, if I click on the little circle all the way on the right hand side here, it'll actually select this lightest gray rectangle. That one is all the way on top. The middle gray is the one in the middle, and the darkest one is all the way in the back or to the bottom of the palette. It's good to spatially keep track of these as we move through the Pathfinder palette. How things are arranged in space makes a pretty big difference with things. Alright, I'm going to drag a selection around all three of these. I'm going to go to my Pathfinder palette over here on the right, and the top left, the top row, left hand side, first icon is Unite or Join. So if I click on that, we can see we get one solid shape out of all three of those rectangles. I'm going to undo or Control Z, Command Z if you're on a Mac. And then the next one over is minus front. So for this one, I only want two of these selected. And minus front will take, just like it sounds, the object in the front and subtract it from the object in the back. I'm going to undo, go back to our original state. I think for the next two, I'm going to go ahead and select all three. And the next one over, third one in on the top left row, is overlap. So any areas that are overlapping. Since we have three items selected, what I would expect it's going to give us is just this small sliver of a rectangle dead center in the board. I'm going to undo that. And then the last one is exclude. So any overlapping areas it will remove. So the opposite of the last one, I would assume that this is going to remove just that small sliver, which unexpected results, but kind of cool. That removed any area that was overlapping, not necessarily for all three objects. If this was something I wanted to continue working with, if I click off and then click back on, you can see all of these by default are grouped. So I can right click, ungroup, click off, and now I have these shapes available to work with further manipulate and change as I see fit. All right. Any of the transformations that you make with the Pathfinder tool that give you multiple objects, by default they will be grouped. The last one I want to look at, and this might be the one that I use the most, the bottom row all the way on the left is divide. And what this does is take every line that defines the shape and that overlaps with another shape and divides all of that into individual pieces. So clicking on that doesn't look like too much changed unless you really take a look at the anchor points on the inside. So again, I'm going to ungroup this. We can do it the long way this time. If you go to Object, Ungroup, I can click off. And then what you can see is I can individually grab these and pull out the pieces, and that is what our divide did.